Hi, this is Kylie Koo. Welcome to my studio and welcome to week 3 of creating a positivity deck. Now, before I get into this week, I just wanted to mention something that I had meant to say last week. Now, last week, one of the things I invited you to think about was any projects that you wanted to breathe life into. Now, just on that particular question and anything that you may have written down or thought about, I would suggest that at some point in the not too distant future, you review your list and think about which projects that you actually want to breathe life into. And if there's quite a few, then prioritise them. But also decide if there are some that you want to let go or just to put aside for some time in the future. Whatever, try not to become overwhelmed by a long list. So, as we continue with the slowdown phase, the word I'm asking you to think about this week is calm. I often associate the word calm with the weather, and when we do have it calm, it often takes me by surprise. We've had a few storms recently where it's been very windy, heavy rain, sometimes for days on end. And the other day, after such a spell, I stepped out into my garden. It was bitter cold and oh so frosty, but the sun was shining. And after a few moments it struck me. It was calm. And as with the weather, I sometimes take myself by surprise and I suddenly realise I'm calm. Sometimes I have to bring myself to being in that state of calm. If something has been bothering me, I might then think I need to be calm. Yet at other times, I've been in the midst of a difficult situation, perhaps where others were way less than calm, and I realise either at that point or at a later point that I was calm throughout it. So this week, I invite you to consider this. How do you bring yourself to calm? What natural elements do you associate with calm? And what does being calm feel like to you? And as I've done in other weeks, I'm addressing these questions myself. Although I have planned all the words out for the entire year, I do, just as part of this process of making this video, actually think about these questions myself. I sit and I ponder over them. I do this little bit of journaling, and then I turn to create my own card. And I've been noticing through doing this process that there are some common elements that are appearing already, and whether these will continue throughout the 52 weeks, I don't know, but certainly in this slowing down phase, there are very much a number of things that keep cropping up, keep coming to my mind. So whether it's about relax, whether it's about breathe, whether it's about calm, then they all keep coming to mind. But what struck me with calm was that I don't need to be relaxed to be calm. Calm is a slightly different thing for me. It's great if I am relaxed, and then I breathe, and then I go into that kind of calm state. But not every situation is a relaxing situation. But what was important for me was that I did realise that I could be calm, I could bring myself to calm, including in perhaps stressful situations. Now, if you're the same, try not to focus on what the stressful situation is or was, but try and think about that positive approach of being calm. And as you reflect on that, think about how you then translate that into your positivity card, as I'm doing here. So I've cleared my things away and I've pulled out my card, and as I've done in other weeks, I'm just going to take some white gesso and go over it. At this point, I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to do, but I've found that just the small task of putting gesso on, which again I do mindfully, I'm not rushing this is part of the process, but even just a small task helps me get to that place where the thoughts that I've put down on paper about the word, I can then start to translate into my positivity card. So I don't rush this. At other times this is something I might have rushed, but now, because I'm trying to do this mindfully and with intention, I just take my time and I enjoy this. So once that's done, I'll give it a very quick dry with a heat gun. So I have this piece of, it's a type of tissue paper. It's a piece that I've recycled. I can't remember what it came with, but I liked this element. There was a kind of natural look to this particular piece of tissue, and I thought that would make a nice background. So all I'm doing is taking some fluid, matte medium, and I'm just going to cover my card with it, and then I will adhere the paper to that. I'm trying to be gentle with it. Because it's tissue, it is quite fragile. And I just go over the top with my brush, just trying to make sure that it's fully in place. And even just this process of putting the glue over the top, I'm just doing very carefully. And then again, I'll give this a quick dry. And once dry, I'll just cut around the edges, cutting off the overhang. And as I'm doing this, I'm thinking about what will I do next, and thinking about the things that I'd written in my journal. And I started to think about the kind of places where I feel calm, or the situations, and I realised that something I do a lot when I'm out and about, or even just in the garden, is I take photographs. And I also often take photographs of my art, because obviously I use them in my videos and on my Instagram channel. And so I decided to take a look to see if there was anything that would inspire me with this card, or that I could include with the card. And I printed off a set, just in a very small size, because I didn't want something that fitted the whole card. So I cut out a few images, and very quickly my card for today came together. There's that image which is light shining through leaves on one of the trees in my garden, and that was just taken a couple of months ago when there was still some leaves on the tree. That next one there is actually an image of an ATC that I did last year, and interestingly the word calm was there. And this was just an image of one of the stones or small rocks that I have. And I cut around it completely. And I liked the way that these three images sat together. There was just something about them that to me just created that sense of calm for me. And all I'm doing here is just rounding the corners of the images, just doing it by hand. I just felt that the corners left square felt quite angular and jagged, just not soft enough for what I wanted in this card. Now I have used some previous artwork before in new pieces, and I actually think it's quite a nice thing to do. If you have a piece of art that calls to you when you're doing something else, then use it. And I'll put a link to that particular video when I made that ATC with Cam. I'll put a link above, and if you want to check it out, you can. Now, because these images were printed on an inkjet printer, I don't want to use any wet glue or medium with it in case the images run a bit. I did give them a quick spray beforehand to set them, but I certainly don't want them to run. So just using a glue stick to put them in place. And again, just doing this very carefully, with intention, and just making sure that I get them positioned the way that I want them. And I decide that because the word calm is already there in that printed image, I just want to use that. I don't want to rewrite calm. So I'm just carefully trying to position the small rock over that so that I'll still be able to see the word. So just pushing that into place now. And then putting my final image into place. And I feel that these sit well with that piece of tissue that I used for the background. For me, it's got a nice natural feel to it, and the card alone is calming for me. So for that reason, I feel that it's filled with positivity. So I'm now just taking this line marker. It's just about dry, so it doesn't work quite as well as I had hoped, but that's okay. There are other things I can do. I'm just trying to put a very fine line in a couple of places. It's difficult to see, but it is there. Although, as I say, the pen was virtually at its end. I also wanted to just try and go over the word calm, just to bring it out a little bit more. Now I'm just taking this 2B sketching pencil, and I'm just going to put a little bit of shading underneath the stone. I discover that the tissue paper underneath is perhaps ever so slightly waxy, or it could be because of the matte medium, but the pencil wasn't showing up terribly well. So I'm now just going to take this Stabilo All, and I'll use just a little bit of water to spread that out. I don't want it too dark, but I like the way that it actually starts to catch the edge of the piece of paper with the rock on it. So just taking my brush with a little bit of water on it, and again that just starts to grab the edge of the paper and just gives it a little bit of definition. Just doing it a little bit at a time. Now it does make the edge of my image a little bit wet, but that will dry out itself. So I'm now taking this Inca Gold, and it's a green-yellow colour. I had noticed the green in some of the leaves and also the green in the little image of my ATC, and I just wanted to get that somewhere else onto the card. And so all I'm doing is using it around the edge, just creating a very light border. I don't want it too thick, just want a hint of it, enough that it will be seen, but not so much that it overpowers the rest of the card. So while I finish this off, I'd like to say a thank you to some other YouTubers who have joined in with me. I will give you all their names next week. I'm slightly concerned that I might miss somebody out this week, so I will let you know them all next week. And I also want to say a big thank you to everyone that's joined the Facebook group and who are sharing their thoughts and their images in the group, and also to others who are sharing on Instagram. It's such a pleasure and a joy to see the work that you are all doing on your positivity cards. So here I am, just reflecting on my cards and my little bit of journaling. And that's it for this week. So I hope you've enjoyed this. As always, thank you very much for watching and for your kind comments. And I look forward to being with you again next week. So thanks very much. Bye for now.